Hello everyone, I'm Sara Sach. Welcome back to my crochet channel. I'm super excited about today's video. What we have done is I wrote this pattern about 15 years ago. It's called the Sand and Sea Summer Poncho because it has colors of the ocean or the sea and of course the sand. It's a perfect summer poncho with these beach colors. You could wear it with shorts and a tank top. You could use it as a bathing suit cover up or just over a sundress or whatever you wanted to use it for. I just love how it turned out, and I love the yarn that I chose to update the pattern. And I'll talk more about the yarn when we get to the supplies list. So what we did with this pattern is originally I just made it in one size fits most and gave you some suggestions on how to adjust it. But today we have completely and worked really hard on this to get some sizes for you. It now comes in 4 sizes. We have an extra small, small, we have a medium large, we have an extra large 2X and a 3X, 4X size. And keep in mind this is a big, roomy, stretchy, comfortable poncho. All right, and the neat thing about it also is if you want to make it longer, say you like it to come down like to your knees or something, you can continue stitching until it's the length that you want and then add that bottom trim. All right, isn't it just gorgeous? Now I give you all the measurements and stitch counts and all of that through the pattern so that you can make, or through the video as well as the pattern, so you can make one for yourself. I just love it. I'm just so excited to get to wear it. And there's lots of things that you can do with it. Just like maybe you want a bigger neck hole, do stitching less on the sides when you do that. Or you want it to really drape more, do a lot less stitches. It's totally up to you. And of course I used this particular yarn because I think it's absolutely gorgeous, but you could use whatever colors that you want. Ombres would be beautiful. Or you could make this in bright sunshiny colors or any colors that you want. You could even get in your yarn stash and make it a scrap happy pattern with whatever yarns that you have. It is a medium weight number 4 acrylic, but you could make it in cotton if you wanted to. It's that versatile. That's how versatile this pattern is. Now you can find the complete pattern with a bunch of pictures on my blog. And as always, I'll put that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. Please check it out. If you have questions, it will answer those questions. All right, let's talk yarn. Now, I used this yarn. This is Premier Basix Marl, and the color is Caribbean Marl, or Caribbean Marl, however you want to say that. And that is this beautiful teal color. It's so pretty. It just looks like the waves in the ocean, doesn't it? And I thought it was perfect for our Sand and Sea Poncho. All right, so you're going to need about 12 to 18 ounces depending on what size that you make. Okay, and again, this comes in 4 different sizes. So the smallest is going to need 12, and then the medium large is going to need about 14, and then the extra large 2X is going to need about 16, and then the 3X, 4X is going to need about 18 ounces. And the reason that I say about is, remember, you may want yours longer than what the pattern calls for, and also we all stitch differently, and so you may stitch tighter or looser than I do. Although I do recommend stitching this nice and loose so you have a nice open poncho. All right, now you're also going to need this, and this is the Premier Basix worsted in Nutmeg, and I thought it was the perfect shade of a lighter but not too light beige to represent the sand. Okay, and again, you're going to need between 6 and 9 inches. 6 for the smallest, 7 for the medium large, 8 for the extra large 2X, and 9 for the 3X, 4X. Okay. This yarn is very economical. It's not very expensive at all, and so it's a great choice for this poncho. These are acrylic yarns, worsted medium weight number 4, both of them, and they're perfect for this, I think. But of course, any medium weight number 4 acrylic yarn will work for this project. If you want to make yours maybe to match a bathing suit or a pair of shorts and a tank top that you have, or a sundress, by all means, go ahead and use whatever colors that you want. I specifically ordered in these two for this project, and I absolutely love how it's turning out. All right, now we're going to stitch today with our eye hook. That's a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. And again, this calls for normally a medium, or I'm sorry, not a medium weight, an H hook, which is a 5 millimeter crochet hook. But again, I want this to be stitched loose and lacy so that it's nice and comfortable to throw on over something this summer. But also, it's perfect for spring or fall or even winter, depending on where you live. So, eye hook 5.5 millimeter. Then you just need a needle for weaving in ends and a pair of scissors. All right, we're going to be starting with our nutmeg color, or beige, because we want it to be, the bottom stripe to be the color of the sand. And then once we do the couple rows at the beginning, then we'll do the center portion in the teal, and then we'll end with the rows of the sand color. We're going to be making 2 squares and putting them together. It's probably more of a rectangle than a square. All right, so we're going to start with our slip knot, and we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, we're going to stitch our double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. But what we're doing is called foundation double crochet. So yarn over, go in that 4th chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, and only go in that 1st loop. We've made our chain. Now we're going to finish our double crochet. Yarn over, go through the next 2, yarn over, and go through the next 2. All right, so now we'll stitch in that chain that we made. So yarn over, go in that chain that we made, pull up a loop, yarn over, go in that through that 1st loop, yarn over, and let's finish our double crochet. So the first row that we're doing is going to be a row of foundation double crochets. Now you're going to need a different amount depending on which size poncho that you're making. All right, so if you're making the small one like I'm doing for the demo, which is the extra small, you're going to need 83 foundation double crochets. If you're doing the medium large size, you're going to need 95 foundation double crochets. If you're doing the extra large 2X, you're going to need 107 foundation double crochets. And then if you're doing the 3X, 4X size, you're going to need 119 foundation double crochets. Now, what we're doing here is making the width of our poncho. All right. And as I stated at the beginning of the video, the inches are listed there at the beginning as to how wide it is. Now, what you need to determine, you may not wear, say, a extra large, but you want it a little longer on your shoulders, so you want to do the extra large. And this is where you can decide that. Make your row as long as you think that you need it. Measure it against your shoulders, how far down your shoulders you want the poncho to sit. Okay? The foundation double crochet row is a great way to start when you want to measure as you go. And that's what I suggest you do with this poncho. All right, so I'm going to be stitching 83 foundation double crochets, and then you stitch the amount you need for the poncho that you're making. I have stitched my 83 foundation double crochet stitches. Now I do want to mention that when we begin our foundation double crochet row, we skipped those first 3 chains and started in our 4th. This chain 3 counts as our first stitch. Another thing that I like to do is use stitch markers. So I marked it every 20 stitches. 20, 40, 60, 80, and 3. All right, and so I've got that marked. And so another thing you might want to grab is your tape measure. Measure and see if it's the size that you want. You may want to go up a size if you're making it larger than because I'm doing the smallest size. But say you thought, well, I'll go ahead and do the size 3 to 4X. But then you get it done and you're like, that's just way too wide. But you might want it drapey. So it just depends on that. But you can also take out stitches and go down to the smallest size depending on what size that you want before we do the next row. And that's where measuring as you go is very important. Keep that tape measure around, all right? All right, so I'm going to take out my stitch markers because I have already counted. And stitch markers are our friend even in crochet. All right, so I've done my 83, and so now I'm going to chain 4. And I'm ready for row 2. Whoops, I forgot a stitch marker. Let's do row 2. So we've chained 4. This chain 4 counts as a triple crochet stitch. And we're going to stitch a triple in the next 2. So 2 wraps on your hook. Go in the next foundation double crochet stitch and stitch our triple. And then we'll do that again. And that will give us 3 triples at the beginning of this row. Now we're going to chain 1. We're going to skip the next stitch and triple in the next. Chain 1, skip the next, triple in the next. And this is going to be our repeat all the way across our row till we reach those last 2 stitches. All right, so 2 wraps on your hook, skip the next, and in the next we stitch our triple. And chain 1, skip and repeat. Chain 1, skip and triple in the next. All right, and this is what we're going to do all the way across our row. The pattern itself for all sizes is basically the same. The only difference is you have more stitches on the larger sizes. It's still stitched exactly the same, and it's a really simple pattern. All right, so chain 1, skip the next stitch and triple in the next. Some people call this a treble stitch also. I was taught it was a triple, and it's okay, whichever you call it. Just stitch that stitch in there. All right, so we're just going to repeat this. Chain 1, skip 1, triple or treble in the next, and repeat all the way across until you reach those last 2 stitches. So I have repeated this all the way across my row. And when you get to the end, you'll have 3 stitches left. We chain 1, we skip the next, and then triple in the last 2 stitches. And I need you to notice that the beginning and the end of our row is not the same. All right. When we began, we started with 3 triples, chain 1, and began our triple chain 1 repeats across. When we end, we chain 1 and only have 2 triple stitches at the end of row 2. All right, so now we're going to chain 3 and turn our work. All right, now row 3 is really easy. We are stitching double crochets on this row, and so we'll double crochet in each of the triples, and we'll double crochet in the chain 1 spaces, and this will bring us back to our original count number. Now we had the same count on row 2 that we did on row 1. The only difference is we did triples and chain ones. And then on row 3, we're going to be back to that original count. So I had 83 on my row 1, and so on row 3, I'm going to have 83 double crochets. All right, so whatever count you did, whatever size, your stitch count should not have changed at all. So I'm stitching 1 double crochet in each of my triple stitches and 1 double crochet in each of the chain 1 spaces, working all the way across this row. Super simple. This poncho is way easy. Like I said at the beginning of the video, we went back through all of it, made some major changes, added lots of sizes, and made it much simpler. All right, super simple. 1 double crochet in each triple and in each chain 1 space all the way across. And again, that's for all sizes. I have completed row 3. 1 double crochet in each of our triples and chain 1 spaces all the way across, and you should have the same count that you had on row 1. Like I had 83. You should have 83 double crochets. All right, now I didn't chain 3 or anything because we're going to cut our yarn. We're going to bring in our color 2. Whoops, there we go. Move that one. And I'm using this beautiful color here. This is that Basix Marl. I think it's called Caribbean or there we go, Caribbean. We're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because we're going to go back to doing triple stitches. Our chain 4 counts as 1 triple. We're going to place a triple in the next double crochet. Now we're going to skip 1 double crochet and we're going to stitch a triple V-stitch in the next. So 2 wraps, go in that stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and do a triple like we've been doing. Chain 1 and triple again in that same stitch. And chain 1. All right, so that's a triple V-stitch. And this is what we're going to be stitching across. Okay, so now we're going to skip 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and stitch our triple in the next. Our triple V-stitch. And chain 1. So our repeat across is skip 3 double crochets and triple V-stitch in the next. Chain 1. Skip the next 3 and triple V-stitch in the next. And you'll notice this makes a nice open and airy stitch pattern. Now on this first one here, we only skipped 1 double crochet, but on the rest across until we get to the other end, we're skipping 3 double crochets. All right. Trying to keep my voice clear. For some reason it's scratchy today. Sorry about that. All right, so 1, 2, 3, triple V-stitch in the next. Aren't these 2 colors just beautiful together? I just love it. Skip the next 3, triple V-stitch in the next. And this is also the reason that this pattern stitches up super quickly, because we're doing V stitches that are triple stitches all the way through the body of our pattern. All right, so let's continue to repeat this. Chain 1, skip 3, triple V stitch in the next all the way across our row. I have completed row 4. We started with our chain 4 and then a triple. We skipped 1 and then did a triple V-stitch in the next. And then chain 1, skip 3, V-stitch in the next, all the way across, and that brings us to the end. And you should end on all of the sizes with 3 double crochets on, or yes, I was going to say triples. 3 double crochets on the end. We have our chain 1, and then we're going to skip the 1 and triple in the last 2. And chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now we're set up for the middle part of our poncho, or the body of our poncho, because we're going to be repeating these rows. All right, so for row 5, we'll turn our work. We have our chain 4. We'll stitch a triple in the triple. Now we are going to chain 1 and then go to the chain 1 space of each of our V stitches. So we'll stitch a triple in the chain 1 space of each of the V stitches. And again, we're stitching triple V stitches. And chain 1. Then we'll go to the next chain 1 space and stitch a triple, chain 1, and triple. Chain 1. And see how that all lines up? Open and lacy. I love it. All right, so I chained 1. I go to the next chain 1 space of my next V stitch. And again, we're stitching triple V stitches, or treble. You can call it triple or treble. It doesn't matter to me which way you say it, just as long as you're stitching it. All right. I love it already. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to repeat this across until we reach those last 3 stitches, and then we'll chain 1 and triple in the last 2 stitches. And again, this is the same for all sizes. The only difference is you'll have more stitches across. And again, this stitches up super quick because we're using triple stitches and it's open and lacy. And isn't this just the perfect poncho to take on vacation? I think so. Isn't that pretty? All right, I'll just continue across until I reach these last 2 stitches. I have completed row 6. And again, we did our triple V stitches in the chain 1 spaces of our V stitches and chained 1 in between, and then we chained 1 and 1 triple in the last 2 stitches. And so what we're going to do is we're going to continue to repeat row 6 for 19 more rows. All right, now that's going to give us a really nice size poncho. But if you want your poncho longer, you can continue to repeat this middle section for as long as you want to. Just measure as you go, and remember, at the other end, at the top, we're going to be doing 3 rows just like this as well. All right, so we're going to repeat row 6 for 19 more rows. I have completed those extra rows, so we have 22 rows through the center of our poncho. And again, This is just the front. We're going to be making 2 and putting them together. All right, and so again, I really encourage you to measure it to make sure it's the length that you want. If you want it longer, do more rows. If it's too long, just take some out. Use your tape measure and measure as you go. All right, and so now what we're going to do is we're going to add this trim to the top of our poncho. So once the center portion of my poncho is the length that I want it to be, we're going to bring back in our sand color, which is a nutmeg. There we go. And we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to make a solid row of double crochet. So we're going to double crochet in the next triple. Our chain 3 counts as our first. We're going to double crochet in the chain 1 space. We're going to double crochet in the next triple. We're going to double crochet in the chain 1 space and double crochet in the next triple. All right, now we'll stitch 1 double crochet in the chain 1 space, 1, got too high there. Let me bring it back down here so you can see. Okay, so double crochet in the chain 1 space, double crochet in the triple. Double crochet in the chain 1 space, double crochet in the triple. Double crochet in the chain 1 space, double crochet in the triple. And we're going to do this all the way across our row. And this is going to give us a nice row of double crochet all the way across. And when you complete this, you should have the same number of double crochets that we started with our foundation double crochet row. All right, so we're just going to continue across, double crochet in the chain 1 space, double crochet in the triple, double crochet in the chain 1 space, double crochet in the triple. And we'll do this all the way across our row. I have completed that first row of our trim again. We chained 4. All right, so now we're going to repeat what we did on row 2. So we chained 4, that's a triple. So we're going to triple in the next 2. Now we're going to chain 1, skip the next, and triple in the next, just like we did on row 2. There we go. Chain 1, skip 1, triple in the next, all the way across until we reach those last 2 stitches, just like we did on row 2. We want the top trim to look like the bottom trim. Just the same. All right. Triple, chain 1, skip 1, triple in the next, working all the way across our row. There we go. So I've repeated this all the way across, and when I get to the end, I'm going to stitch a triple in the last 2 stitches. And chain 3. All right, and so now it looks just like the one at the bottom. So now we need to do a row of double crochet across, and we'll do it exactly the same. We've chained 3, we'll turn our work, we'll double crochet in the triple, we'll double crochet in the chain 1 space, double crochet in the triple, double crochet in the chain 1 space, double crochet in the triple, and we'll repeat this all the way across. That way the top and bottom trim look the same. See? All right, so I'll just finish this across, stitching 1 double crochet in each of the triples and 1 double crochet in each of the chain 1 spaces. So I have completed the trim for the top of my poncho. So we have the same trim on the top as we do on the bottom. And of course, this is just the front. And so we need to repeat rows 1 through 28 so that we have a front and a back that we can put together. So now I have completed 2. I repeated row 1 through 28 and I have 2 squares stitched the same. I have a front and a back, and they're just absolutely gorgeous. I love them. I love the colors, how they flow. But we need to put the neck together in order to form a hole to put our head through, right? And so what we're going to do, we're going to use this sand color, the Nutmeg, and we're going to stitch across, then we're going to slip stitch across the back. So this is our back, and then we'll stitch across to put them together. Now, this is something that might be a little bit tricky because we all have different sizes going across. And so what we're going to do is we're going to stitch a certain number across. Like I said, we'll slip stitch on the back and leave a neck hole or a head hole, and then stitch across the other side. All right, so I've worked up some stitch counts to use, but again, if you want a bigger neck hole, you can do less stitches on the side. If you want a smaller neck hole, because remember, this is very stretchy, it depends on how low you want it to drape on the front and back. Now remember, we're going to be stitching on the back. We've got our right sides out on both sides. We have our right sides out. And then we have, so when you finished your last row, you want to keep your yarn attached. I didn't do that because I was taking some pictures, but it is a good idea to leave it attached since it's going to match. It just gives you one less thing you have to weave in. All right, and so what we're going to do is we're going to be stitching across in order to close the shoulders up. All right, and we'll be stitching 1 single crochet in each side, stitching the front and back together. All right, now I've worked out some stitch counts for us for the sizes, but again, you can adjust this as needed. Now for the extra small, I'm going to stitch 31 stitches together. Okay, and then for the medium large, 37, for the extra large 2X, 44, and for the 3X, 4X, 49 stitches. And these are the stitches we're going to do on this side before we do the neck opening. And then we'll do the same amount of stitches on the other side. If you want a smaller neck opening, that's totally fine. You can make this, stitch as many as you want. Just make sure that your 2 sides have the same amount of stitches. All right. All right, so I've already done 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, here's 10. I do need to do 21 more, but I want you to see how that looks. See, we're stitching it together with a nice single crochet seam. All right, I need to do 21 more. I've stitched those 31 stitches, stitching my first side together. And now what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch, not single crochet, but slip stitch in the next 21 stitches. And I did this the same for all sizes. All right. If you want this opening bigger, you can do more stitches. Just make sure you work it in with what you're doing. All right. So I need to do 21 slip stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21 stitches. And that's the neck hole. Now remember, that's going to be the front and the back, and it's very stretchy. And yarn is very stretchy, so keep that in mind when you're working out how much room you want on your poncho top. Now make sure that you count the 21 stitches on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. And then when we do our next single crochet, we'll go right through the next stitch and single crochet. And then I'm going to single crochet together this side like I did this side with those last 31 stitches. So I've stitched those last 31 stitches. I can cut my yarn and tie off. Let me show you how the neck looks. And I do need to weave this end in because I didn't leave my yarn attached, but leave it attached. That'll give you one less thing you have to weave in. All right, so here's my 31 stitches where I stitched the front and back together. Here's the neck where I slip stitched across the back. We're not going to slip stitch across the front. And then here's my last 31 stitches on this side. So I have these two ends to weave in, and my poncho will be complete. So here's the top of my poncho. Here's my neck opening. And like I said, if you want a longer opening or bigger opening, you certainly can. Just keep in mind, yarn is very stretchy. Okay, and I did try this on. It's perfect for my head. And of course, here's my sides that we stitched together. All right, now, again, if you want less here, do less. Just make sure that this side and this side are the same. And then we slip stitched across the back of the neck opening, but not the front, okay? And now it's all ready for me to take with me on a beach vacation. Isn't it just gorgeous? I just love how it turned out. It's absolutely beautiful. This is our Sand and Sea summer poncho.